بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له، ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا بين يدي الساعة. من يطع الله ورسوله فقد رشد، ومن يعصهما فإنه لا يضر إلا نفسه ولا يضر الله شيئا. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. المال والبنون زينة الحياة الدنيا والباقيات الصالحات خير عند ربك ثوابا وخير أملا. وقال تعالى أيضا: أفحسبتم أنما خلقناكم عبثا وأنكم إلينا لا ترجعون. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: بدأ الإسلام غريبا وسيعود غريبا فطوبى للغرباء، أو كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. My honorable and respected ulama ikram, respected huffaz, respected elders and brothers, mothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First and foremost, we begin with the praises of Allah Azza wa Jal, that Allah, who is mine and your soul nourisher, cherisher, sustainer and protector. May Allah's choicest salutations continue to descend and flow upon our noble master, leader, mentor and our guide, Nabi Pak Mohammed Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Adam sahab, sir aage tashrif laye. Inshallah. Respected elders and friends, we cannot praise Allah Azza wa Jal enough for giving us this opportunity to spend a few moments in the most blessed, in the most beloved, and in the most beautiful places of Allah, the houses of Allah. Ahabbul bilad ila Allahi masajiduha. The most loved place in the eyes of Allah is the houses of Allah. Friends, wallah, we are so fortunate because, as you and I know, generally I think this is an international trend, that a Saturday night is generally regarded as a night of chilling, as a night of relaxation, and most important for the stomach, a night of takeaways. And in South Africa, that is exactly the same thing. And if you do happen to come to South Africa, there is one takeaway that you specifically need to indulge in. It's called Ekelwayas fish and chips. Very, very nice. So it is that night whereby we feel that we have worked the whole week, so we need some type of relaxation, which is normal, there is nothing wrong with that. However, the fact that Allah has chosen us to come and spend a few moments in His house is indeed a very great favor of Allah. You and I know that there are many out there who might at this very current time and moment be spending their time in the disobedience of Allah. They might be spending their time in the disobedience of Allah. And the point that I want to make to you is, you need to understand the value. Your coming here is not out of your own accord. You have been chosen by Allah to come here. And you need to appreciate the fact that Allah gave you, out of so many people, Allah gave you the opportunity. Wallah, friends, there are so many people in the world today, wherever it may be, in England, come to South Africa, they are grappling in the abyss of darkness. They are looking for something in their lives. They are searching. They have the best of jobs that a person can think of. They have climbed the highest ladder in the corporate world. They have everything that a person can desire materially. But wallah, they do not have sukoon and itminan in their heart. From morning to night, from dusk to dawn, from Sunday to Monday, from not only 24/7, 24 hours, 7 days in the week, friends, they are running what we call in South Africa a rat race. And you know what is the nice thing about this rat race? Is the rats have won the race. The rats have won the race. That is the thing, friends. Because the glitz of dunya, the glamour of dunya, is that there will always be something better than what you have. There will be always something nicer than what you have. That is the temptation of dunya. So the point that Allah has favored me and you with this blessing and this ni'mat of iman, which is the only avenue of finding peace and tranquility, let us not take it for granted. Let us not take it for granted, respected elders and friends, thinking that we have been born in a Muslim home, we have been reared as Muslims, and today we have iman. Wallah, if you hear the karguzaris and you hear the stories of those who go out in the path of Allah, may Allah accept their efforts. If you hear the stories, they will tell you of how many people have become renegade and who have become disbelievers after the fact that they have been born and bred in Muslim homes. So when you will make shukr for a ni'mat, Allah will give you increase in it. And this ni'mat of iman is the only criteria that Allah will use in the akhirah to determine whether a person is successful or unsuccessful. Look at this power of this kalima la ilaha illallah. A person can live his entire life in disbelief. A person can live his entire life in the shirk, in ascribing partners to Allah. A person can live his entire life to the last moments of his life in the disobedience and disbelief of Allah. But come the final moments of his life, if Allah accords him and affords him the opportunity to recite this kalima, friends, everything that he had done in the past, Allah wipes away. Allah wipes it away. Allah forgives him. It is simply because of this reason that my Nabi had tried. It was the desire of my Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam that kash ke hai, if only my uncle had recited the kalima on his life. Innaka la tahdi man ahbabta walakinna Allah yahdi man yasha. But Allah had reminded him at that time that, oh my beloved Nabi, it is not you who give hidayat, it is I who give hidayat. So the very uncle of my Nabi, who had stood with him during the most difficult times of his life, who had supported his cause, who had granted him protection, who had did whatever not only an uncle, not only a father could do, but from his heart he did whatever he could do for his nephew. But yet when Allah did not give him hidayat, friends, and Allah chose me and you for iman. Allah. How much we have to thank Allah for that. If you get a chance every day, make 2 rakats of salat al-shukr. That, oh Allah, you have favored me. You have favored a sinner like me for this wealth of iman and the ability to believe in you. Wallah, Allah, if you looked at my actions, I have none. Oh Allah, if you looked at my condition, at my submission and obedience to you, Allah, I have none. But yet you chose me, Allah, to accept you as the one and only Allah. What a favor this is, friends. Don't ever in your life take it for granted. Because even on your dying moments, in the most difficult moments of your life, shaitan would still come to try and snatch away this ni'mat of yours. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min sakaratil maut wa ghamaratil maut. May Allah save us in those difficult moments. So the fact that we have come here tonight, let us appreciate this ni'mat of Iman. Let us appreciate that Allah has brought us to His house to come and speak about His greatness and the greatness of my Nabi. And this is no ordinary gathering, friends. How much we prepare sometimes when it comes to the gatherings of dunya. When there is a wedding, how much of preparation goes into it? We know that. When there is an important soccer match, how much of preparation a person will make. He will make sure that he gets tickets long before time, that he must not miss the match, come what may. And he makes sure that he needs to get the front rows, so that he gets the best view of the match. Now, respected elders and friends, why when it comes to deen, we want to take the backstage? Why when it comes to a matter that would decide our success, a matter that is the criteria for our entry into Jannah, for everlasting bliss, we decide to take the backstage? We need to prioritize in our life. Gatherings like this, the rahmat of Allah descends. The sukoon and the peace and tranquility of Allah descends. The angels surround such gatherings. Allah makes mention of such gatherings in a higher gatherings, and that is the gatherings of the angels. Allah. So whenever an opportunity arises for you to seek knowledge, then always take that opportunity. Because wallah, the oceans of knowledge are so vast. Compared to the knowledge of Allah, we have none, friends. The knowledge that we possess is nothing compared to the knowledge of Allah. So wherever the doors of knowledge have opened for you, don't look at, there is a saying in Arabic, don't look at who is speaking, look at what is being spoken. انظر إلى ما قال ولا تنظر إلى من قال. Don't see who is the speaker. Today we want an eloquent speaker, which is good also, mashallah. But don't look at who is speaking, look at what is being spoken. So respected elders and friends, Allah has accorded us this opportunity. Allah has favored us to be believers. Allah has favored us to come and sit for a few moments in His house to learn. Make dua that Allah first and foremost give me the ability to practice. And may Allah give us, all of us, the ability to practice. Coming to the topic of the night, youth. Now if you study teenage years, first of all, I will not go into that line tonight. Is there something as teenage years? Because in Islam, once you reach puberty, you are accountable. Islam, once you reach puberty, then you are accountable in the eyes of Allah. So it is a very well-coined term. Teenage years is a very well-coined term whereby you are telling him that you're not a child and you're not an adult either. You're not a child and you're not an adult. So you have partially contributed to the downfall of the child. And this is a coined term that is being used in order to confuse the child. No, they will tell you that leave him, he's small still. But then when he does something wrong, then you shout him, you say, you've gone so big all of a sudden, and you are still making the same mistake. So friends, you have confused the child. Nevertheless, it is a topic, very interesting topic, inshallah. Allah bring me again, we will go into it. Youth, it is entitled Youth, the Generation Gap. And psychologists go into detail into explaining the wisdom of Islam. Look at in the time of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Why did the Nabi of Allah say that when your child is 7, teach him how to read salah? When your child is 7 years, start inculcating the habit of salah in him. And when he is 10 years of age, then even if you need to hit him a little, if you need to discipline him a little with regard to salah, then do so. In today's times, what would we classify that as? Is that teenage years? We'll say, never mind, he's small. Leave him, when he gets big, he'll read salah. But friends, you have destroyed him. Why you have destroyed him? Because you have not inculcated the habit of salah in him. Now when he gets big, how can he come and perform 5 times salah when it's not part of his habit? Nevertheless, teenage years are a very difficult period for a youth. Because he's trying to find his place in his family. He's trying to find his place amongst his friends. And he is trying to find his place in society. Together with that, he has the mental pressures of life. He has the pressure of pubescence, the physical pressures that he's a growing up man now. He has the emotional stresses of life. And coupled with that, he has the demands of unbridled passion. The demands of unbridled desire and peer pressure. He is bombarded from all sides. He doesn't know whether to go right or whether to go left. And wallah, friends, if we as parents do not nurture this very critical moment in the lives of our children, then unfortunately they are going to turn into a nightmare for us. And that is the fact of the matter. There was so much of wisdom in sometimes, our elders perhaps did not have much knowledge. They did not have much knowledge, but they had great wisdom in them. And the little that they spoke out of wisdom. In Gujarati they say that Aulad je wo tukni ne aulad je wo sukni. That there is no better coolness than the coolness of your children, but there is no greater nightmare than the nightmare of your children. Wow. Now you play a very crucial role in choosing to make your children the coolness of your eyes or to make them a nightmare. Now you have 2 choices. You can either choose to decide and say, whatever is happening out there in the big world is not going to happen to my child. That's the one choice you have. But that is a very pessimist approach. Because once your child leaves the door of your home, once your child leaves the front door of your home, you're not in control. So that is a choice sometimes that parents tend to take, is, they say in English, they sweep it under the carpet. And they say it won't happen to my child. Or they wish that it doesn't happen to our children. Or the second option is you commit yourself to constructive engagement. You commit yourself to constructive engagement. Now, if I ask anybody in this audience which would be the better option, and I'm sure each one of you would tell me that, Moulana, the better option would be to engage with them. Now, the latter would require, the option that you have agreed with me is the option of engagement and construction. But however, it would require more than good intentions. To have good intentions, mashallah, is on its place. To say to yourself, no, we need to do something for our youth, and we need to engage with them, and we need to develop them, and all these type of things we need to do, but it would require more than intentions. Now, respected elders and friends, you and I know that the youth are getting excessive doses of immorality, excessive doses of immoral behavior, excessive doses of drugs, not only from the clubs, not only from the televisions, not only from the chat rooms, not only from the video games, but also from peer networks and enticing social trends. Excessive doses of this is coming our way. Now tonight, I have decided that where do we take our inspiration from? Where do we take our cue from? Where do we find or try to find solutions to the problems? Perhaps there were people in the past who were faced with similar problems. So it is good to walk the road with them because they have experienced it. So they will be the wisest to tell you what to do in situations as these. Now allow me, friends, in these few moments that we have, the next 20-25 minutes, that Allah so beautifully says in the Quran, لَقَدْ كَانَ فِي يُوسُفَ وَإِخْوَتِهِ آيَاتٌ لِلسَّائِلِينَ. You see, friends, if at times, read the Quran, understand the meaning of the Quran, inshallah you will find the solution to all the problems. If you want the quality of patience and perseverance, you will find it in the story of Noah. If you want to understand what it takes to be patient with difficulties and hardships, you will find it in the story of Ayyub alayhi salam. Every Nabi that Allah had sent for a purpose. And how fortunate we are that we are the only religion in the world. We are the only religion in the world that believes in all the Nabis. The only religion in the world that believes in all the Nabis is the religion of Islam. So what wealth don't we have? What information don't we have by means of which we can take the cues of our life? Now Allah says that indeed in the story of Yusuf and his brothers are messages for those who search for the truth. Look at the words may Allah uses. Such beautiful words, friends. Such profound words. That in the story of Yusuf and the story of the brothers of Yusuf are clear signs for those who are searching for the truth. Now before going on, you need to understand youth are the mirror of a nation's destiny. Youth are the mirror of a nation's destiny. To know whether a nation's future is bright and promising, or whether it is bleak and lamentable, then take an account of the young men's lives. Scan their desires. You know, when you scan something on a machine, scan their desires, scan their aspirations, scan their values, scan their principles and their ethos, scan their aspirations and inspirations, look at their character and their behavior, look at their achievements and their activities, and they will tell you and they will demonstrate to you the trends, the values, and the environment of the society of tomorrow. Youth, you are the architects of society. You are the architects of society who will eventually mold and shape the destiny of the future. Our challenge as a community, and this is a humble plea I make to you tonight. Tomorrow I go back home. Tonight, our challenge as a community is to mobilize our youth. And this everybody has to play a part. Everybody has to be on the same page, you see. Our challenge is to mobilize the youth to take responsibility for their own development firstly, and then to take responsibility for the reconstruction and the development of our society at large. My discourse tonight is extracted from the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, which is the 12th surah of the Holy Quran. And the beauty of this surah, Mufassirun explain that it is the only story in the Quran that Allah mentions in sequence. It is the only story in the Quran that Allah mentions from beginning till end in sequence. So nevertheless, the Quran gives a graphic description of how Yusuf alayhi salam, as a youth, as a youngster, responded to the overwhelming vices and immorality that was prevailing at that time. He was betrayed by his own brothers. He was sold as a slave. He was rescued to a royal household. Only to be seduced by the lady of that house. Listening with me? Together with that, he rose to the highest rank of management skills. He was the victim of jealousy. He was a victim of conspiracy. He was a victim of hatred. He was a victim of slavery. He was a victim of tyranny. And he was a victim of beauty. The Holy Quran states, إذ قال يوسف لأبيه يا أبت إني رأيت 11 كوكبا والشمس والقمر رأيتهم لي ساجدين. That, oh my father, I have seen a dream. I have seen a dream. And in my dream, I have seen 11 stars, I have seen the moon, and I have seen the sun making sujood and prostrating to me. Yusuf alayhi salam at that time was 12 years old. Allah. He was confused. He was bewildered. He was amazed. He was shocked at what he saw. Friends, who did he turn to in the times of confusion? Who did he go to first in the time of confusion? Who did he confide in? He confided in none other than his very own father. He confided in none other than his very own father. Your challenge as youth is to forge such a relationship with your parents where you can even go and talk to them about your emotional needs. And friends, respected elders, let us not be fooled. The very first requirement, the very first resurgence of Islam, the very first resurgence of an Islamic unit largely depends on the stability of your home environment. Understand that and understand that very well. that the home plays such an important role, not only in the stability of your home, but even in the stability of your society. The very first requirement is to have a stable family unit. Why? Because the family nurtures the values that is supposed to be brought out about in their children. The values that were passed on from generation. The family nurtures values that bring out the nobility in a person, enabling him or her to establish good interpersonal relationships. So the first requirement for you, all my youth, is to forge a stable relationship with your parents, whereby not only for your physical needs, but even your emotional needs, you are able to go to them. And as parents, you need to have this relationship with your children, whereby they can feel confident enough to come to you and to speak anything that is on their heart or in their mind. Nevertheless, the Holy Quran then states, اقتلوا يوسف أو اطرحوه أرضا يخل لكم وجه أبيكم. The Quran says, then kill Yusuf alayhi salam. His 10 brothers plotted to kill him. His very own blood and flesh. They plotted to kill him. They connived and they threw him down in the deepest of wells. The Quran says, kill Yusuf alayhi salam. اقتلوا Yusuf. Kill Yusuf alayhi salam. Drive him away to a distant land. And if you do this, you will be free from that which your father loves the most. Nevertheless, this is what happens, friends. Amazing what Mufassirun have taken out from this ayah. That, oh my youth, your challenge from this is to see which company you keep. Your challenge, just like Yusuf alayhi salam had a challenge, your challenge is to see that which company you keep and you do not succumb to peer pressure. If you have good family values, so you see the sequence. It all starts from the home. If that child is nurtured well at home, if the home environment prioritizes the needs of that child, that first comes his Islamic education. First comes his Islamic needs. When you have indoctrinated this system in your home, then inshallah, when the child goes from the front door out, he will not succumb to peer pressure. But let's not be fooled about it. When you give preference to secular education, when you give preference to that which brings the disobedience of Allah, when you give preference to that which only is going to benefit you in this world, and friends, I'm sorry to say, it might hurt somebody to swallow this pearl, but you cannot blame others for your folliness. If you will plant the tree correct, then inshallah it will grow straight. But if you will plant it incorrect, if you will plant it crooked, come 15, 20 years, don't expect the tree to straighten up. If you try, it will break. So what happens is, Yusuf alayhi salam, a plot was made to kill him. A plot was made to assassinate him. Oh my youth, the company you keep, the company that you keep is how you will live your life. So beautifully, the Nabi of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had given an example of good company to that of a musk bearer. You and I know that if you walk into a perfume shop, either one of two things is going. You will buy the perfume, which will benefit you, If you do not buy the perfume, you will have a look at the perfumes. And if you do not have a look, then you will come out of the shop. But even when you come out of the shop, the effect of that perfume will be on your clothes. So, same with the musk bearer. If you go, just by opening the bag, some effect of that musk will come into you. Likewise is good or bad company. Good company, the Nabi of Allah said, is like that of a musk bearer. Bad company is like that of a blacksmith. As much as and how hard you can try to be careful for your clothes not to get soiled, but just by going into that environment of blackness, somewhere and somewhere you will get affected. So the company you keep, a person is known, they say in English, a person is known by the company that he keeps. Moving on. The purpose of killing him, or their purpose was to banish him. The purpose was to banish him. And they used the pretext of sport and play to achieve this. They used the pretext of sport and play to achieve this. Friends, the Quran says, his brothers told their father that send him with us tomorrow to enjoy himself and play. Send him with us tomorrow to enjoy himself and play. Now I ask you a few questions, O my respected parents. That is sport not used to distract people from the real world? Is sport not used to distract people from their real jobs? Is sport not used to distract people from their real object of life? Have the sports stadiums become the new shrines of our culture? Are televisions now the new pulpits from where the message is being spread? Are we enchanted and bewitched by sport? Though you and I know that it has become synonymous with drugs. It has become synonymous with fornication. It has become synonymous with gambling. And I don't have to tell you about the match fixing. Which sport doesn't have match fixing, friends? Despite this, they have become the new shrines for our youth. A caravan passed by the well. A caravan passed through, some merchants passed through the well and found Yusuf alayhi salam, a youth of surpassing beauty, very handsome. And that is always the case. The mother feels that she's got the most handsome child. Whenever somebody comes and proposes, and that is right also, mashallah, because beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. Beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. So Yusuf alayhi salam was an extremely handsome man. Extremely handsome. So what they did, they sold him for an insignificant price. For a meager price, they sold him for a few silver coins and they lowered his value. Eventually, he was taken to the opulent slave market. Was taken to the opulent slave market and he was sold for a miserable price. Now, my respected elders and friends, I ask you this question. In this day and age, are our youth not used as pawns in the lucrative drug market? Are our youth not being sold as pawns for a miserable price in the lucrative drug trade market. So exactly what Yusuf alayhi salam had to go through, that is exactly what our youth are facing today. It has just taken a different veneer and it has taken a different form. The most precious of life are sold today, unfortunately, to the slavery of the drug trade for miserable economic gains. Yusuf alayhi salam was sold to a very high, a very noble home, the home of the king. His wife, the king's wife, she was blinded by the beauty of it. She was blinded by what beauty Allah had favored Yusuf alayhi salam with. And the Holy Quran says, وراودته التي هو في بيتها عن نفسه وغلقت الأبواب وقالت هيت لك. The Quran says she was so taken by his beauty that she locked the door of the house, she locked the door of the room, and she seduced him. She bolted the doors and she said to him, قالت هيت لك, come to me, O Yusuf. Commit the act of zina, commit the act of fornication with me. But Yusuf alayhi salam refused infidelity. Yusuf alayhi salam refused to succumb to his base desires. Yusuf alayhi salam refused to succumb to his passions. And he said, Ma'adallah, oh Allah, preserve me. Oh Allah, look after me. You and I know, friends, let us not hide from this fact. We live in a highly electrified environment. We live in a highly electrified environment where our passion is being aroused. Our desire is being aroused. Wherever you go, places and temptations are there. Open the magazines, what you see? Even the sports stadiums where they play cricket have got women dancing. Even the sports that was supposed to be involving a bat and a ball, there is women dancing. So open any news magazine, you will find women. Women are being used to advertise anything from an automobile to a toothpick. Anything from an automobile to a toothpick, you will find a woman being used as a means of advertising. So it is natural for men that he is faced with this passion and desire. But friends, she thought, the queen thought, that the door was locked. And no one will see them. No one will see them. But Yusuf alayhi salam knew that Allah is there. Yusuf alayhi salam knew that who was there? Allah is there. No, my respected youth, you are never, never, never alone. Allah. Know that much in your life, that you are never alone. Allah sees what you do. Never compromise a situation. Never ever compromise a situation which may lead you to zina and fornication. Why? Because there is no such a thing as a platonic relationship. Meaning, today, unfortunately, even amongst the Muslims, you will find a group of people that will tell you that the boy and girl have to know each other. وَنَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنْ ذَلِكَ. That boy and girl must spend a few months together to know if they are compatible. Is that the reason why divorce is so rife today? Ask yourself the question. Is that why relationships no more last? Because you had started off something in your life with the disobedience of Allah. You have started a relationship on the foundation of the disobedience of Allah. How you expect that relationship to work? So there is no such a thing as a platonic relationship. Oh my youth, protect yourself. Divest your life from the culture of dazzling cars. Divest yourself from the culture of designer clothes. Divest yourself from the culture of music and pop. When the word spread that a queen had tried to seduce such a noble lady, such a high-ranking lady, had tried to seduce a slave, she became the talk of the tongue. She became the talk of the tongue. That how is it possible that a lady of the caliber of the queen could be seduced by a person of the caliber of a slave? So when her reputation was torn into pieces, to get back at them, what she did was, she invited them to a sumptuous meal, and while they had knives in their hands, she asked Yusuf alayhi salam to appear before them. So captivated were they by their beauty, so taken aback were they by the beauty of Yusuf alayhi salam, that they cut their fingers in the process. Why? His beauty played havoc in their hearts and their minds. Respected elders and friends, when the women seen him, they were greatly amazed at his beauty, and they were so flustered where they cut their hands, explaining, say, oh Allah, save us. This is no man, this is but a noble angel. So taken aback were they by the beauty of Yusuf alayhi salam. Oh my youth, they had lost their fingers. You might lose your lives. When you disobey Allah, when you succumb to your desires, you and I know what type of diseases are not prevalent today in the world. And all these diseases have started off because of zina and fornication. Remember one thing. This I'm addressing to the youth as well as to the parents. Remember, you are never too young to get married. You are never too young to get married. Marriages do not break because couples are immature. Generally we say that he's still young. He's still young. What he knows, what he has learned, he hasn't seen life. The same concept we have about our daughters. No, she needs to still earn a living. She needs to still make a reputation. She needs to pursue her career. She needs to do this. She needs to do that. So marriages do not break because couples are immature. But marriages break because of an immature, irreligious and irresponsible lifestyle. That's why marriages break. Nowhere have I come across where marriages broke because of immaturity from boy or girl. But when your relationship is based on your physical needs rather than the needs of your soul, that is when you are in trouble. The Holy Quran states, the Holy Quran then further states, then it occurred to them that after they had seen all the signs proving his innocence, to imprison him for a time. Now that they could not point a finger at him, they realized their folly. They realized, what do we do now? So they said, imprison him. Yusuf alayhi salam was imprisoned because, not because he was guilty, but because he was unwittingly causing an upheaval in society. This was not the first time in the history of humankind that an innocent man was sent to prison. The wicked may plot. The wicked may mete out inhuman treatment. Yet the tyranny, the injustices, and the miscarriage of Islam may plant the seeds for the resurgence of Islam, and it will only take one youth to do that. Oh my youth, are you ready to stand up to be that one person? As Yusuf alayhi salam was ready to be sent to prison, not because he was guilty, but because he stood on the commands of Allah. Do not forget, if you study the history of South Africa, today South Africa is where it is. I will tell you the reason for that. But if you look at the history of South Africa, the first prisoners that were brought to our shores were Muslims. The first prisoners that were brought to the shores of Cape Town were Muslims. Their imprisonment planted the seeds for the rise of Islam. Now, my respected youth, have you got the guts? Have you got what it takes that Yusuf alayhi salam had? Whilst Yusuf alayhi salam was imprisoned for unspecified crimes, he came across two people in prison. He came across two prisoners with him, and they both at that time did not ascribe to the belief of the oneness of Allah. But look at Yusuf alayhi salam. As a youth, he did not lose the opportunity. He immediately grabbed the opportunity to make da'wah. Immediately, he did not pity himself and say, but I'm a prisoner. He immediately used the opportunity to give da'wah. Me and you, we have a unique opportunity to give the message of Allah to our people. The opportunity of da'wah is endless. Despite the onslaught against Islam, despite the onslaught against Muslims, friends, we can safely say, you are living in the country, and so am I living in a country whereby the means and the forms of da'wah are endless. You have the opportunity to take Islam to the people. Become ambassadors of deen. It will not only give others the message of deen, but it will solidify your own iman. And don't think so you are doing Allah a favor. Why? Because too often we take Islam for granted. We think that Islam is our own property. We think that Islam is our own personal property, and we refuse to give da'wah and teach the sublime teachings of Islam to others. Islam was never meant to be an individualistic faith. Islam was never meant to be reserved for the chosen few. The fact that Allah has accepted you for Islam is a ni'mat. The fact that Allah has accepted you for the work of Islam is a ni'mat. The fact that Allah has utilized you in the different branches of deen is a ni'mat. Because if you feel you are doing Allah a favor, Allah will replace you with something else. Because deen was never an individualistic faith. The masjids and the houses of Allah in the world do not belong to anybody. The madaris and the makatibs and the darul ulums do not belong to anybody. That is why Islam has put the place and the system of waqf in place. So whatever you are doing, do it for the pleasure of Allah. And know that Allah has chosen you and Allah has accepted you to do His work. Because I promise you, there are many in the line that are waiting. So deen was never an individualistic faith. Muslims have a duty to spread the deen. and practicing Muslim youth, whether beginners, whether activists, whether leaders, have a crucial role to play. After languishing for a time in jail for some time, the king heard that Yusuf alayhi salam could interpret dreams. The king came to know that Yusuf alayhi salam had interpreted dreams. So the Quran states, the king sent the messenger. I'm going to cut it short, my time is almost up. So the king then sent a messenger that go and call Yusuf alayhi salam, because وَقَالَ الْمَلِكُ إِنِّي أَرَى سَبْعَ بَقَرَاتٍ سِمَانٍ يَأْكُلُهُنَّ. The king had a dream in which he seen 7 fat cows and he seen 7 lean cows. So he wanted the interpretation of this dream. Now, normally, a prisoner would be overjoyed to hear that he is about to be released from prison. A prisoner would be overjoyed that I'm going to be free any moment, any time. But look at Yusuf alayhi salam. He said, go back to your king and ask him what was the matter about the ladies who cut their hands. SubhanAllah, friends. What a deen we have. What a lineage we have.
Wow.
But Yusuf alayhi salam refused to leave jail until he was free of all charges. You are, O my youth, the flag bearers of Islam. People judge you according to your actions. People judge Islam, people judge the Muslims according to your actions. It is vitally important that you live your life with integrity. Just as Yusuf alayhi salam lived his life with integrity, your reputation, the reputation of your family, the reputation as the fact that you are a Muslim, and the reputation of Islam need to be jealously guarded. You need to guard this reputation. You have the opportunity to change perceptions about Muslims. You have the opportunity to change perceptions about Islam by actively participating in different youth forums, by becoming an asset to society. You have the opportunity to make Islam heard. You have the opportunity to take Islam. When the king learned about the truth of Yusuf alayhi salam, immediately he offered him a place in his kingdom. Yusuf alayhi salam was asked to be placed in charge of the storehouses. Himself, he asked to be placed in charge of the storehouses so he could ensure that the 7 lean years that were to come, the masses and the underprivileged and the less fortunate would also get a share out of it. He used his astute management skills for the benefit of his country. He used his astute management skills for the betterment of his country. I don't think so it's fair. I don't think so it's fair that you eat from the coffers of a country and you're not prepared to give back.
More.
Really, it's not fair. That is being selfish. Now you are being selfish. And more so if you are a Muslim. More so if you are a Muslim. Because Allah has made you the vicegerents on this earth. Your primary task, you can't be eating on the one hand and then remember, oh my youth, remember, oh my parents, your attitude determines your altitude. The attitude in life you have will determine how high and how far you will go. The call of duty for all our youth is to learn from the life of Yusuf alayhi salam. Learn how he transformed threats Learn how he transformed threats to opportunities. Learn how he transformed adversity to prosperity. And the amazing qualities that he did it with was the qualities of faith, courage, and determination. And I'm sure in my hearts of hearts that, oh my youth, each one of you have these qualities. You just need to channel them correctly. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give me and all of us the ability. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah.